A girl knocked on the woman's door and, after looking at her belly, called the police. Hello, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment on what you think will happen, and let's see if you get it right. Write your prediction below, and at the end, I'll give you the answer. It was a quiet afternoon in the small town of Santa Clara. The streets were almost deserted, and the sun was beginning to set behind the hills, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. Laura, a middle-aged woman, was at home enjoying a cup of tea when she heard a gentle knock on the door. Upon opening it, she found a girl of about 10 years old, with a pale face and eyes full of concern. The girl, without saying a word, pointed to Laura's visibly swollen belly and then took out a phone to call the police. Laura, surprised and confused, tried to calm the girl, but she insisted that she needed to speak with the authorities. The police arrived quickly, and the small street filled with murmurs from curious neighbors. The officers, seeing the situation, approached cautiously. Laura, still at the door, tried to explain that there was no cause for alarm, that everything was fine. However, the girl, with surprising firmness for her age, pointed again at Laura's belly and whispered something to the officers. Confusion took over the scene, and Laura, feeling increasingly uncomfortable, invited the officers inside to clear up any misunderstandings. Meanwhile, the neighbors watched from their windows, creating an atmosphere of tension and mystery. Inside the house, Laura tried to explain that she was 6 months pregnant and didn't understand why the girl had acted that way. The officers, though still puzzled, began to ask more detailed questions. They wanted to know if she had experienced any recent problems, if she had noticed anything strange, or if anyone had harmed her. Laura shook her head, assuring them that everything had been normal, that she was just eagerly and nervously awaiting the arrival of her first child. However, the girl, who had remained silent, finally spoke, revealing a detail that would change the course of the conversation. "I saw something strange," the girl said with a trembling voice. "I saw a man running away from your house before you opened the door." This revelation left everyone perplexed. Laura was silent, trying to recall if she had noticed anything unusual in recent days. The officers took notes, and the atmosphere became even more tense. The girl continued, explaining that she had seen the man several times in the neighborhood, always watching Laura's house. This new twist in events led the officers to decide to investigate further, while Laura tried to process the unexpected and worrying information. After the disturbing revelation from the girl, Laura couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. That night, as she tried to sleep, memories of her past began to invade her mind. Years ago, she had a complicated relationship with a man whose behavior had become increasingly obsessive. Although she had managed to end that relationship, the emotional scars remained. Laura wondered if the man the girl had seen was the same one she had fled from years ago. This thought filled her with fear, but also with determination to protect herself and her future child. The next morning, Laura decided to talk to some of her neighbors to see if anyone else had noticed anything strange. Mrs. Johnson, who lived next door, mentioned that she had seen a man lurking around the neighborhood several times, but hadn't thought much of it. Other neighbors also recalled seeing someone who didn't belong in the neighborhood, but couldn't provide a clear description. Uncertainty and fear began to grow in the community, and Laura realized she was not alone in her concern. Meanwhile, the police continued their investigation. The officers reviewed security cameras in the area, but the images were blurry and inconclusive. However, they managed to identify a suspicious vehicle that had been seen several times near Laura's house. They decided to follow this lead, hoping it would lead them to the mysterious man. Laura, for her part, tried to remain calm and continue her daily routine, even though the shadow of the past seemed to haunt her every move. Amid the tension, Laura found support in her friends and family. Her sister, Emma, temporarily moved in with her to help during this difficult time. Together, they tried to create a safe and welcoming environment in the house, while awaiting news from the police investigation. Laura knew she had to stay strong, not only for herself, but also for the baby she was carrying. Although fear was present, she also felt a growing determination to face any challenge that arose. The police investigation was progressing slowly, and frustration was starting to take its toll on Laura. One afternoon, as she was returning from the market, she noticed a man following her at a distance. Her heart raced as she tried to remain calm and act normally. She decided to enter a nearby cafe, hoping the man would go away. To her relief, after a few minutes, the man disappeared into the crowd. However, this encounter left her more unsettled than ever. That night, she decided to speak seriously with the officers handling her case. She told them about the incident on the street and her growing concern for her home's security. The officers assured her that they were doing everything possible to resolve the case, but Laura felt she needed to take additional measures to protect herself. Along with her sister Emma, they installed security cameras in the house and reinforced the locks on the doors and windows. Despite the security measures, fear remained present. Laura began having recurring nightmares about the mysterious man, and her anxiety increased each day. Emma, concerned for her sister's well-being, suggested they seek professional help to cope with the emotional stress. Laura agreed to the proposal and began attending therapy sessions, where she could express her fears and find ways to confront them. As the sessions progressed, Laura began to feel some relief and regain her confidence. Meanwhile, the girl who had alerted the police continued to visit Laura. She had become an unexpected support and, in some way, a friend. The girl, whose name was Lily, shared stories of her life and dreams for the future, which helped distract Laura from her worries. Through these interactions, Laura began to see Lily as a symbol of hope and resilience, reminding her that she was not alone in this fight. One afternoon, while Laura and Lily were chatting in the garden, the phone rang. It was one of the officers in charge of the investigation, with important news. They had managed to identify the owner of the suspicious vehicle and were in the process of locating him. This information brought a ray of hope to Laura, who had been living in a constant state of uncertainty. However, the officer also warned that the man could be dangerous and that she should remain alert. That same night, while reviewing the security camera recordings, Laura noticed something strange. There was a figure moving stealthily near the house, but it wasn't the man who had been following her. It was someone else, someone who seemed to be looking for something. Laura showed the images to the officers, who decided to increase surveillance in the area. The presence of a second individual added a new layer of complexity to the case, and Laura began to wonder if she was dealing with a bigger threat than she had imagined. While the police worked to identify the new suspect, Emma began investigating on her own. She went through old photo albums and family documents, looking for any connection that might explain why Laura was being harassed. During her search, Emma discovered an old letter mentioning a family matter that had never been discussed. She decided to share this finding with Laura, hoping it might shed light on the current situation. The letter contained details about a family conflict related to an unresolved inheritance. Although it initially seemed irrelevant, Laura began to consider the possibility that this old matter might be related to recent events. She decided to share the information with the officers, who began investigating this new line of inquiry. Meanwhile, Laura and Emma prepared to face whatever was necessary, determined to protect their family and uncover the truth behind the mysterious events. With the new information about the inheritance, the police decided to question some of Laura's family members. During these interrogations, hidden tensions and old rivalries emerged. Some family members seemed more interested in protecting their own interests than in helping to resolve the case. Laura felt disappointed to discover that people she had trusted might be hiding important information. Amid this confusion, an unexpected figure offered their help. It was a distant cousin of Laura, David, who had been estranged from the family for years. David had heard about Laura's troubles and, having had similar experiences in the past, decided to support her. Together, they began investigating the inheritance matter, trying to understand how it might be connected to the harassment Laura was experiencing. As David and Laura delved deeper into the investigation, they discovered that there were legal documents that had never been presented. These documents suggested that more people were involved in the case than initially thought. David, with his legal knowledge, helped Laura understand the legal implications and prepare a plan of action. Together, they decided to confront those family members who might be involved, hoping to get answers. Meanwhile, Lily continued to be a constant support for Laura. The girl, with her curiosity and intelligence, helped uncover small details that others had overlooked. Her presence not only brought comfort, but also a fresh perspective that proved invaluable. Laura realized that, despite the family divisions, she had found a new family in those who surrounded and supported her unconditionally. David and Laura's investigation finally began to bear fruit. They discovered that one of the legal documents contained a clause granting Laura rights to a valuable property that had been in dispute for decades. This revelation explained why some family members might want to keep her away and possibly why she was being harassed. With this new information, David suggested they present the case to the authorities to protect Laura's rights. In parallel, the police managed to locate the owner of the suspicious vehicle. It was a man hired by one of Laura's relatives to watch her, intending to intimidate her and make her give up any claim on the inheritance. This confession was a hard blow for Laura, who had never imagined that someone from her own family could go to such extremes. However, it also brought relief knowing that the mystery was beginning to be solved. With this information, the officers were able to arrest the man and begin legal proceedings against those behind the harassment. Laura, although relieved, also felt betrayed and hurt by the revelation. She decided it was time to confront her family and demand answers. In a family meeting, she exposed everything she had discovered and asked for explanations. Some family members tried to justify their actions, while others remained silent, ashamed. Despite the tension, Laura found the courage to forgive those who had tried to harm her. She knew that holding a grudge would only hurt her more, and that the most important thing was to protect her future child. With the support of Emma, David, and her new friend Lily, Laura began to rebuild her life, determined to create a safe and loving environment for her family. Although the path would not be easy, she was ready to face any challenge that came. With the recent revelations, Laura felt she had reached a critical point in her life. The betrayal by her family had left deep scars, but it had also given her the strength to fight for what was right. Determined not to be intimidated any longer, she began taking legal steps to secure her rights over the disputed property. David, with his legal expertise, became her closest ally, guiding her through the complicated legal process. Meanwhile, Laura's relationship with her sister Emma was strengthening. Emma, who had been her constant support, decided to stay permanently with Laura to help her in this new stage of her life. Together, they began planning for the future, dreaming of a safe and happy home for the baby that was on the way. Emma's presence not only provided security, but also the certainty that Laura was not alone in her struggle. The community, which had been watching from the shadows, began to show their support. Neighbors came together to offer help, from childcare to emotional support. Laura was surprised to discover how many people were willing to help her, and this community solidarity gave her a new perspective on the power of unity and empathy. The girl Lily, who had been the catalyst for it all, became a symbol of hope and courage for everyone. However, the battle was not completely won. Some members of Laura's family continued to oppose her claims, and tensions remained present. Laura knew that the road would be long and full of challenges, but she was determined to face them with the same determination she had shown so far. With the support of her friends, her sister, and her community, she prepared for what was to come, knowing she had crossed a point of no return and there was no turning back. As the legal process progressed, unexpected consequences began to emerge. Some family members, faced with the possibility of losing the dispute, began to reveal secrets that had been hidden for years. These revelations not only complicated the case, but also unearthed old wounds that many thought had healed. Laura, though surprised, decided it was time to face these truths and find a way to reconcile them with her present. One of the most shocking secrets was the existence of a forgotten will that could change the course of the dispute. This document, found by David in a dusty archive, indicated that Laura's grandfather had left specific instructions on how the inheritance should be handled. The existence of this will change the game, and Laura felt more secure in her position. However, it also meant she would have to face more opposition from those who did not want the truth to be revealed. Meanwhile, Laura's relationship with Lily continued to strengthen. The girl, who had been a constant source of support, began to share more about her own life. Lily lived with her grandmother, as her parents worked in another city and had found in Laura a maternal figure. This special connection reminded Laura of the importance of family and community and gave her a new motivation to fight for a better future. The legal process continued, and although tensions were high, Laura remained steadfast. With each obstacle, she found new ways to strengthen her case and her resolve. The community continued to support her, and her circle of close friends and family became a refuge in times of uncertainty. Although the consequences of her actions were unpredictable, Laura felt empowered for the first time in a long time, ready to face any challenge that arose. With the discovery of the will, Laura's case took a dramatic turn. The document revealed that the disputed property was to be used for the benefit of the community, a clause that no one had mentioned before. This revelation not only strengthened Laura's position, but also exposed the true intentions of those who had tried to conceal this fact. The news spread quickly, and the community began to demand justice. Laura, realizing the magnitude of what she had in her hands, decided it was time to confront her family directly. She organized a meeting where she exposed everything she had discovered. Some family members, cornered, tried to apologize and seek reconciliation, while others remained hostile. Laura, though hurt by the betrayal, decided to give dialogue a chance, hoping to heal the wounds and build a fairer future for everyone. During the meeting, more buried truths emerged. Some family members shared stories of past injustices and grudges they had harbored for years. Laura listened attentively, understanding that the only way to move forward was to face these issues head-on. She decided that, in addition to fighting for her rights, she would also work to reconcile her family and seek a solution that would benefit everyone. With the support of David and Emma, Laura began to develop a plan to use the property in a way that fulfilled her grandfather's wish. She proposed creating a community center that would offer resources and support to neighborhood families, a place where the community could come together and grow together. This idea was well received by many and began to sow the seeds of new hope and unity. With the community center plan underway, Laura focused on preparing the legal case to ensure the property was used according to her grandfather's wishes. David, with his legal expertise, helped Laura present a formal proposal to the authorities, arguing that the community use of the property not only honored the will, but also benefited all involved. The proposal generated intense debate, but also growing support from the community. Meanwhile, Laura worked to resolve some of the minor subplots that had emerged during the family conflict. Some of her family members, inspired by her example, began to reconcile and work together to support the community center project. This positive change brought a new sense of purpose and unity to the family, and Laura felt they were finally moving toward a better future. In parallel, Laura's relationship with Lily remained a source of joy and strength. The girl, with her enthusiasm and curiosity, became an integral part of the community project, helping to plan activities and motivate other neighborhood children to participate. Lily's presence not only strengthened the bond between her and Laura, but also inspired others to join the common effort. With everything in motion, Laura knew that the climax of her struggle was near. She prepared for the final confrontation, knowing she had the support of her family, friends, and community. Although the journey had been long and full of challenges, Laura felt stronger and more determined than ever. She was ready to face any opposition and ensure her grandfather's legacy was fulfilled, creating a positive and lasting impact on her community. The day of the trial arrived, and Laura appeared in court with the support of David, Emma, and many community members. The atmosphere was charged with tension, but also with hope. Laura knew this was the culminating moment of her struggle, and she was determined to do everything possible to secure a fair future for her family and community. The arguments were presented, and her grandfather's will became the centerpiece of the case. During the trial, some family members tried to contest the will, claiming it was not valid. However, David presented compelling evidence proving its authenticity, and the judge decided to allow the case to proceed. The community, which had been following the trial closely, showed their support for Laura, and their presence in the courtroom was a constant reminder of what was at stake. Finally, after days of deliberations, the judge issued his verdict. The property would be used for the benefit of the community, just as Laura's grandfather had wished. This decision was met with applause and tears of joy from everyone present. Laura felt a wave of relief and gratitude, knowing that her struggle had been worth it and that she had managed to secure a better future for everyone. With the verdict in her favor, Laura immediately began working on the development of the community center. The community came together to help, and the project became a symbol of unity and hope. Laura, surrounded by friends, family, and neighbors, felt more connected than ever to those who had supported her on her journey. Although the path had been difficult, she had found the strength to face her fears and create a lasting legacy. With the community center finally up and running, Laura felt she had reached a new chapter in her life. The project had not only brought tangible benefits to the community, but also healed many of the family wounds that had emerged during the conflict. Laura, now surrounded by reconciled friends and family, felt a deep sense of peace and satisfaction, seeing the positive impact of her efforts. The community center became a vibrant and lively place, offering classes, workshops, and activities for people of all ages. Laura, along with Lily and Emma, dedicated herself to organizing events that brought the community together and fostered a sense of belonging and collaboration. The girl, who had been the catalyst for it all, became a youth leader, inspiring other children to participate and contribute to the common good. As time passed, Laura reflected on everything she had learned during her journey. She had discovered the importance of resilience, empathy, and unity, and how these values could transform even the most difficult situations. With the birth of her child, Laura felt her life was complete, surrounded by love and support, and ready to face any future challenges. Although Laura's story had come to a satisfying conclusion, she knew the future would bring new challenges and opportunities. With the community center as a lasting legacy, Laura committed to continuing to work for the well-being of her community and to inspire others to do the same. With the support of her family, friends, and neighbors, Laura looked toward new horizons, full of hope and determination to build a better world for future generations.